Okay. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, I can hear myself. It's working out. All right, yeah, thanks for coming today. This is our session today on data-driven analytics with everyone with Qlik AutoML. So my name is Ryan McDonald, solution architect at Qlik, working at Qlik for 5 years. And actually, in the previous 5 years before working at Qlik, I was also working with Qlik as a customer. So about 10 years of experience in the data space. So a little bit the agenda today, what I want to talk to you guys about. I want to go, actually it builds quite well on the presentation we just saw, because the first part is kind of talking about the user groups that we see in different projects and how we kind of need to treat them differently to get the best out of our data with them. I only have 3 user groups. I think you had 5, Dirk. But actually, what you presented is more or less the same as what I have, just my groups. I just, generalize a bit more. So, yeah, user group 1, who's that? I like to call them the Chihuahuas. So, who are the Chihuahuas? They're the ones with the least amount of data literacy. Yeah, so they're not really that comfortable working with data. So even like basic tools, if they want to grab some data out of a BI system or something, they're not going to do that. They're going to ask someone else. And then they're basically not, if you put it in perspective, they're not comfortable making database decisions on their own. They need kind of support from someone else usually in the business that can go in, maybe a data analyst or something, to pull that data for them. So that's kind of the first user group we see in a lot of our projects. So the second user group, that's the corgis. So who are the corgis? They have good data literacy, so they work with data quite a lot. They're comfortable using different tools. They can maybe write some SQL. They can go into the different tools that you need to pull the data that they need. They can answer questions. And they're very confident making database decisions, right? And then we have the third group, and that's the golden retrievers. They have great data literacy as well. They're really comfortable using data tools. They're maybe experts. They can do some programming, Python. They love this kind of stuff. They're in their basement programming away every day. And they're very confident making data decisions. What I see with this user group, though, is that sometimes they can be a little bit disconnected from the Chihuahuas, from the business. So they usually need some kind of help to understand the business problems a bit more. They're a bit sometimes too focused on the programming challenges and kind of the technical stuff. And things just like, talking to management about certain problems can be sometimes difficult for these user groups. So those are the kind of user groups that we see in our different projects normally. Very generalized, of course, it can look a lot different depending on what company you're in. If you're working at Google, you probably only have golden retrievers. If you're working in a normal company, there's a good mix of different users, right? So we have solutions to kind of help all these users make better decisions with data, so as Qlik. So I kind of want to now go over a little bit about Qlik Cloud, and then jump in a little bit into Qlik AutoML, which is our machine learning product, to kind of show how that can help these users. So first, we can focus on the users. Again, the Chihuahuas, how can we help them? So what do we offer? Qlik Sense. So that's our BI tool. It's very easy to use, self-service BI tool. Also used by Mercedes. I'm not sure for, not in every department, but in a lot of departments. And it's really easy to use. You can have some natural language to answer questions. We have a lot of nice little features built in to build the trust for these users, that they can start using the system themselves without needing a data analyst or something. So things like a catalog, a data catalog, so a centralized repository of all the data in your company that can be coming from different systems and be kind of cataloged, and descriptions there to understand, okay, what data is there, who's using it. Data lineage is also built in there, so we can see where is the data coming from. And we also have a business glossary, which also contains kind of dimensions, measures, their definitions. And this is all kind of built in together, so I can even look at a measure and see exactly where it's coming from, which system, all the way down to SAP or other systems. So that really helps build the trust for these users to make better business decisions. So they can do it themselves. They don't have to wait and ask for someone else. So just want to take a screenshot what it looks like. I'm sure you've all seen a dashboard before, but that's just kind of a dashboard I built for my car, actually. I have an electric car, and fits very well to the Mercedes presentation. And it has an API. I can read the data out. And this is actually a dashboard I built for my wife, who I would very carefully categorize as a Chihuahua. Because she heard somewhere, electric cars, when it's really cold outside, I read some clickbait article that they lose like 60% of their range. And I was like, no, honey, look at this dashboard that I built. Yes, you do lose some range, so that's this bar chart as well. It's just kind of showing the range per temperature grouping. And you do lose about 20%, 30% of range when it's really cold, but not as much as she read in that article. So she could understand that with this dashboard. Yeah, I mentioned we do have natural language text, so you can just ask a question. It's a bit small up there. It says, show me the total sales and quantity by product in New York. And then our system will just generate that. And the great thing is, this is all, the system is taking from this catalog, from this business glossary, from these measures, which are all defined, usually by people that understand the data. So the Chihuahuas, they can really use this information right away. They can even save that information for themselves, or just consume it once and answer their question. So that's how we can help the Chihuahuas. So the next group, the Corgis, what can we do for them? So that's kind of like the data analysts. So there we have Qlik Sense, so they can obviously use Qlik Sense. They can build up dashboards, reports, this catalog, and Qlik AutoML, this machine learning product. So as you can see, they aren't data scientists, this group, but we are positioning Qlik AutoML for this user group, that they can take advantage of machine learning so that you don't need a data scientist to do machine learning for specific use cases, I would say. So let's dive into Qlik AutoML, what it is. So it's basically a no-code automated machine learning for really focused on analytic teams, so not on data scientists. So you can easily create predictive analytics. What's a very nice feature as well, and this is also useful for the business users, and not just the data analysts and this group, is explainable AI. So you can get out of the models that you build with Qlik AutoML, you can actually understand the key drivers behind it very easily. So this is important to build trust in these models that this user group builds. And it's fully integrated into the Qlik cloud, so it's very easy to get started. And if you are using Qlik Sense, our BI tool, it's also basically, there's a free starter package included as well, so it's very easy to get going. Maybe you might be asking, okay, what kind of questions, use cases can we solve? So basically, anything that has like a yes or no. So a binary classification problem. So will a customer leave the company, or do I need to do predictive maintenance on a certain part in my production plants? These kind of questions are things that we can answer very well. Or a multi-class classification. So if there's a multiple outcomes, so which plan should my customer use to generate the most revenue or something like that? These are the kind of questions that we can answer. Or just a regression as well, so predicting a number at a future point. So how much inventory will be on hand, or how many patients will be in the hospital at a certain time, this kind of information. This is all kind of things that you can solve. So I have a short demo is here as well, which shows kind of how easy it is to get going with it. So I'm in the Qlik cloud here, and it should start running now, the demo. I'm in the Qlik cloud. So this is where our BI tool is, Qlik Sense, and the Qlik AutoML, and a few other products as well. And I think I need to click one more time. Yeah, there we go. And super easy to create your own models. So you just go up here, add new, and you create a new machine learning experiment. So that's a good word, because in machine learning, you have to basically experiment a lot. So you have to do a lot of tests, a lot of iterations. You can select then from any data source that you have. So it could be Snowflake, Databricks, anything. Or you could use our catalog, or you could upload a flat file, whatever you want. I just uploaded a flat file here and load it into the catalog, basically. And then I can create my experiment to start doing some machine learning on that. Of course, I skipped a major part of machine learning projects where the data prep side of things, that's usually like a good piece of the project. And we also have solutions for that as well, to do the data prep, to make that data ready for machine learning. But basically, all you have to do is, once you have that data set, select it, and kind of just select what you want to predict. So in this case, this is just a churn data set, a list of historical customers that left the company or not. And I basically just select that column if the customer left or not. And when I do that, Qlik AutoML will automatically prepare that data set for machine learning. It will understand what kind of problem it is. It will select automatically different algorithms based on the problem. So in this case, it selected 8. And when I click on, what's the button even say? Run experiment, it will go away and train all those models, all those algorithms at the same time to find the best model. It will also kind of look for the best parameters for those algorithms. So it's really good, because as a business user, I don't need to know how to program, do any kind of Python stuff like that. I can just, if I know my data well enough, then I can start building out these machine learning models. And then it will automatically select the best model, and I can deploy it in basically with one click, which is really great. And once you deployed it, you then have basically an API, which you can use this model in any other system. So it's not just kind of closed into our cloud or anything. Or you can go away and upload another future data set to make predictions on that data, which you can also schedule as well. So I just wanted to get a little bit of look and feel, like how easy it is to use this tool, and why it can be used by analytics teams, and doesn't need a data scientist to run it. And now I just want to focus a little bit on that explainable AI part, because I think that's really important. So it helps us understand Shapley value, key drivers. And for anyone technical, we calculate Shapley values for our models. So that tells us the data that we load in for a machine learning model. What are the key drivers? Which columns are actually important, are driving the decisions behind our model? So for example, for churn, we see, okay, the base fee has a strong impact for a telecom customer. So if you have a high base fee, the likelihood that you're going to leave the company is very high. And having this information really helps build trust in the machine learning models. From normal users that don't really understand machine learning, they can understand, okay, that the plan type has a strong impact, or that the prior period usage, how often they're using the plan, is also very important. So these kind of things really help for that. It's calculated, this kind of values of what's important. We actually calculate it on every single row of data. So that's very cool, because you can actually look into a single customer, and it will tell you, for this customer, what's the most important factor behind it. So it could be for one customer something is very important, but for another customer it's completely different. So that's very interesting and useful information that you have. And you can also do once you deploy this, you can also deploy it directly into your dashboards, into Qlik Sense. And this is just an example of that. And you can start visualizing that information. And you can give to the business users, the Chihuahuas, the opportunity to play around and change different parameters to see how that would actually affect our model. So in this case, for this churn dashboard, they can go in and say, OK, if I change the plan, what's going to happen? If I up the base fee, put it down, you can really play around and understand the model, get users working with it, even though they don't need to know any machine learning. So that's very useful. And something that I would say traditional data science machine learning struggles with is getting those models actually to the business, which is what you can do really great with Qlik AutoML. That's not all that we can do. So I talked a little bit about this data prep that you need to do for machine learning to bring the data together. So that's important. It's also important for dashboarding. So also in the previous presentation, a company like Mercedes, they have thousands of systems. That's where the self-service BI tools come in, like Qlik, where we can connect to those different systems. They don't all need to be in one great data warehouse. I've actually never seen a company or a big company with one data warehouse with everything that they actually need in it. So it's important that you're able to kind of take from different sources. So I have a customer example here where they had basically the main system was Salesforce, and they had some other systems like Marketo and DataHug and some CSV files and another data warehouse, and they're bringing all that data together in Qlik, in the Qlik Cloud. So another thing that we can do with AutoML and our Qlik Cloud platform is we can automate workflows between different systems. So that's kind of also new for a BI tool to be able to do these kind of things, because this is the future that we see, that we don't want to be kind of reactive, just visualizing data. We want to actually automate processes or automate actions with our data. So we're trying to be a lot more proactive. So we have basically a low-code tool called application automation built into our Qlik Cloud, where in this case, I can take all that data from Salesforce, those different sources, and every time it's updated, I can run this workflow. And this workflow will get them some data. It will check which customers bought product X, but not product Y. And product X and Y actually go quite well together. So it could make sense that a customer that bought product X would also buy product Y. It will also then predict the likelihood of that customer that they would actually buy product Y when they bought product X. And if the prediction is over 60%, it will automatically create a campaign in Salesforce, which will then email those customers to say, hey, have you thought about buying product Y? So that's really powerful, because this is something, a workflow, together with Qlik AutoML, that the corgi could build himself, so without the help of a data scientist. So it really empowers those users to do even more with their data, be more proactive, and kind of automate these workflows. Yeah, the corgis are then happy. Then the last kind of group is more the data scientists or the golden retrievers. So we kind of forgot about them. I've kind of said, OK, we don't need them for Qlik AutoML. But it's not that we don't think that data scientists are important, or that you really don't need them. You need data scientists, for sure, right? Definitely need them. And Qlik AutoML is actually going to help them as well. They're not going to be the key user of this tool, but it's going to help them. And we also have some other tools for them that can help them. So we have advanced analytics integrations with other tools that they use, and which allow them to publish their own models that they've built with their tools into Qlik Sense, kind of just as you saw with the examples that I showed. So what those models that they built we could also do the exact same things with them that we just saw with Qlik AutoML. And then, yeah, that's really for those complex problems that they have, which they should be focusing more on. So just to give an idea, we have things like data robot integrations with R, Python, simple web APIs with Databricks, with Amazon, Google, Azure. So all these kind of platforms where these data scientists are there. We have some of the stuff there. So they can use those. They can even take data from Qlik to use in their predictions as well, quite easily, from our catalog. And then integrate it into dashboards. So what's kind of the value of that for a data scientist is they have more time to focus on those complex machine learning problems, because with Qlik AutoML, the kind of less complex machine learning problems can be handled by the data analysts. And basically, I think this is the most important for me, the ability to put their models in front of decision makers, in front of the business. Because this is I always have customers that say, okay, we had a project, some data scientists create a great model, but no one's using it because no one knows how to install Python. Yeah, I had that last week. And I said, okay, well, we have an advanced analytics integration, and we can put that model in front of the business user and let them use it and play with it. And yeah, then, of course, when they do that, the acceptance comes, feedback comes, the models get better, everyone's happy. And yeah, because we have this Qlik Cloud platform where you can bring all that data together in the catalog, what usually happens in these data science projects is a long time is spent getting the data from the business, understanding it, all that. But that's kind of built into the catalog already, so we can kind of skip this step and bring everyone together. So yeah, and the data scientists can then continue using the tools that they know and that they're good at. So yeah, that's basically everything that I wanted to show you guys today. So hopefully you've seen a little bit the capabilities of the Qlik Cloud, what it can do, how it can help those different users gain more insights from the data, make more decisions based on data, and be more proactive, not just reactive, making decisions with data. So I guess I can open up the floor now for some questions.
We have a question over here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. Also, I like the classification of the user groups a lot. My question would be exactly in this direction, especially for the Chihuahua group, actually, and the AutoML, because you said we actually need almost no knowledge about AI. My question would be, is this really the case? And how much do we really need in order to use this tool in a responsible way? What are your experience from practice here?
Yeah, so like when a model is published into a dashboard like this churn dashboard that I had, then you don't need to be a super data expert to work with that, because it's all very, maybe I can even, okay, no, I cannot, but skip back. But it's very self-explanatory with this explainable AI, the factors that are in there. So you don't need to be a specialist to understand that dashboard, because it's just working with a dashboard. Most users can do that. Definitely with the new kind of self-service tools out today, the visualizations and everything, it's quite, when it's built well, it's easy to understand. When it comes to actually building those machine learning models with Qlik AutoML, it's very easy. You need to still have a good grasp of data to do that, though. It's not that I say that the manager or the person that's not working with data can build a machine learning model. That used to be only for data scientists. We're trying to push that capability out a little bit to the data analysts. So people that are already working with data, they understand their business data. They can get the data that they need, but they're not, programming in Python or things of that nature. So we're trying to empower that group. And basically, you still need to understand data very well. You still need to understand your business very well. But we're taking away that need to be able to be kind of diving down into algorithms and programming. We abstract that away with AutoML. Does that answer your question a little bit?
The business people, if they use it, of course they understand, and many times maybe you have an initial understanding what the solution might be, but there are some typical pitfalls in AI, like overfitting or stuff like this.
Yeah.
And my question would be, is it necessary in advance to have a kind of minimum awareness training, so that they also have an awareness about these problems and challenges which can happen actually also in interpreting also the features, for example, what you showed?
Yeah.
Is this something you're doing or you're seeing?
Yeah, so in Qlik AutoML, so the people that are creating the models, they can kind of see this information and view it, get tips. There's kind of, through the product, always kind of, we try to explain everything. So we try to educate those users more about machine learning. We don't see that happening at the very end at the dashboard, because that's kind of the responsibility of the data analyst to, when they build the dashboard, it should be kind of, self-explanatory, not using overfitted models, which we also try to avoid doing that, overfitting the model as well, automatically in Qlik AutoML, but still, that's kind of not the business user responsibility to really know that deep into it. They just need to know the business, the key drivers. So that's how we kind of see that and how we tackle projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any more questions? I wanted to actually ask a question, if
Okay.
that's okay.
Sure.
And it actually builds on that previous question. Just wondered what your thoughts are about the impact on data literacy of AutoML. I was just thinking while you were presenting, when we think about our use of Google Maps or Waze, we're very much in that mode of being able to get from A to B very easily. But to a degree, that's eroded some of our navigational skills. And I wondered if you saw any impact on perhaps erosion of data literacy when a lot of the workflows are automated with these sorts of solutions.
Yeah, it's a good question. I need to think about it a little bit. Yeah, so that's definitely true. So when I don't turn my navigation on, I get lost. Yeah, it is a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you use ChatGPT recently, you type things in, it gives you a super confident answer, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. And then you realize it's completely wrong. With Qlik AutoML, I would say you still need to have a good understanding of data, a little bit of understanding of data science to get the best of it. So there is a little bit of danger with AutoML solutions that a user that really doesn't understand anything about machine learning tries to use it and then gets frustrated because they don't get the results. Mm-hmm. But we try to make it very self-explanatory. We also suggest for those projects to engage with us in the beginning so that we can set up an education plan, because we were one of the first vendors to do data literacy training with, like, not based on a tool or anything, just general data literacy. So that's definitely important for a project to be successful, regardless how good your tool is at the end. So that's definitely something we don't take lightly. And with the right education and training, I think you can get by those issues. But yeah. Good question, thanks.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely the education and support is needed alongside as well. I believe we have to wrap up there. But thank you very much, Riley. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to move swiftly on to our next case study this time. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Tomasz Ziarko, who is Head of Data Management at DHL IT Services.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Yes, Tomek Ziarko, or Tomasz, Head of Data Management in Deutsche Post DHL. And I would like to talk about the data democratization and getting into insights in the bigger scale of the bigger company. And I have a picture here with Formula One cars suggesting, fast going to the insides. But really, if you're in the field, it's more you need a Land Rover in the jungle. But I couldn't find the picture for it with DHL logo on it. So quickly about DPDHL Group. Because especially in Germany, you probably know it more from DHL bringing you a packages or a post, but our group is a little bit more complex and bigger that some people might know. So of course, yes, we are the leading parcel service here in Germany. If you are a little bit in the hurry, we have a DHL Express service. We are delivering to over 220 countries and territories. So we say we are the most international company of the world with this service. Another service we are providing is the supply chain. So we are, helping in, for example, pre-producing certain parts. We have storage places. So we are kind of, the guys who are behind the scene of the big players, helping them, for example, producing the goods. And DHL forwarding, special transports. You want to have your elephant from Africa to your garden, we can help you if it's legal, of course. And it's through air or ocean transports, custom things. So quite a diverse business field. And that makes the pretty, difficult infrastructure, global reach, different people around the world, data around the world, and all, fragmented and pieces here and there. So it a little bit resembles what the colleague from Mercedes said, right? I mean, just, big chaotic organism around the world with all the things flowing in and out. And we used to be also the car manufacturer, but I think we sold it. So that rounds up the DPDHL group and what it's about. Yeah, and I wanted to get you straight into our situation. So the problem we are having, like everybody do have this problem, how to get to the insight from the data, how to make the data being a base for decision making, and how to work with analytics at scale. And it is, if you think about the history, it is, we started 20, 30 years ago with business intelligence systems, and then we got to the big data, right? But all those things were a little bit like a more expert things, right? I think it was mentioned today in the morning. If you want to go and get some data, you need to, more complex data or complex report, you need to go to some specialists. And the challenge, how to make it a little bit more being really a democratized system, how to make it enable analytics at scale, people could do a lot of self-service and, get more value out of the data in general. And here I wanted to start immediately with the bigger picture. I see some slides in between got swallowed. Anyway, this is our answer, like from the architectural perspective, on how we want to solve the problem. So on the one side, we're having data, on the other, having insight, and what's the magic mixture from our perspective to make it work from the top management through all the layers down to the normal citizen consumers of the data. So on one side, all starts with the governance system. Unfortunately, a little bit boring topic and a little bit dry, but you need to have a unified set of rules that applies for the way you manage the data. And again, I like this standardization topic that was mentioned today in the morning. That's exactly the thing, right? If you have different rules in different places, then the picture you will get, an insight you will get, will not be really true. And so the rule set is the beginning. And then, yeah, I'm coming a little bit more from the strong IT background, infrastructure background. So of course I like to have some toolings, right? We need the tools to process all those data to get the insights. And here are a couple of the components that are important. So when you think about the journey of the insight, the first thing would be people need to find the data. Yeah? And it might be the expert thing, but it could be same for the citizen analyst. You need to find the data. And so over 70% time is lost on finding the data. So in the bigger project, and citizen analysts might never get to the right data because they are in department A and here department B, and how to get to it. And that's why our kind of most important core element of the solution is the data catalog. And say like, okay, if I have a data catalog where I can find the data, this is really the first most important step. And in the data catalog, not only finding the data, but really also understanding, exploring the data. So you need to have a little bit more than just, a scanned technical list of tables from SAP, right? It won't help. So you need to really have the important data well described, so that people can really understand it, they can explore it. And another element, okay, once the people explored it, found something, say like, okay, I was exactly looking, I think this is my table. This is my table, and I think these are the data I want to use for my analytics. The next point would be, yeah, but what about the data trust of this data? So yeah, they're coming from somewhere, it's a catalog, it's kind of anonymous. Can I trust this data? And the data trust or the data quality, it's another important component. To say, hey, this particular table, and we have a metrics of the data, a year or so, it's regular, it's passing our quality checks, you can trust this data. So that's another element. What's also useful is the data model. So some people, if they build a little bit more complex, solve more complex problems, they need to know, for example, well, I want to do the revenue leakage analysis. And I have on one side my finance data, but on the other my product data. And this is one system, this is the other system. How can I link them up? What's the glue between this data so I can really bring them together and do some analysis? And the data map or the data model will help you on the high level to say like, okay, what are the systems and how you can link them? What are the kind of paths in the jungle get from one city to the other city? Another element is when you say like, all right, I found my data, I understood them, I trust this data, I just now want to get going. Is the big problem of getting an access to the data. And that's why the access management is, the second probably most important element, how to quickly, in some standardized way, get access to the data. And access to the data, will be explaining it a little bit later in more detail. Is a complex problem. It's a complex problem to get access to the data. Well, in the middle, of course, for especially more, more complex use cases, you need, of course, some data platform, right? Some, analytics processing platform. So once you found the data, got an access, you have it in the hands. Now you want to, torture the data and get some insights. And we have a combination of on-site and sort of on-premise and on-cloud platforms that I will go into the details in a second. Things more on the other side to helping the entire process to work will be the communities. So we need to take people at the hand. So on one side, those who do produce the data, and also those who do consume the data. So I think the helpful approach is the community approach. And also mentioned, I think, just last question before was about the data literacy and the culture. Probably one of the most important topic is how to enable the organization to live with the data. We'll go into the details in a second. Good. Then let me now go to the problem of how can I access the data fast? How can I break the problem that, at least in our organization, like 70–75% of the time is spent on getting access and preparing the data. And for some will never get through this stage anyway. I put a little bit the flow of how we are processing or how we think it is the right approach. So all starts, of course, as said, with the data catalog. I mentioned already, find, explore, trust. So far, so good. Now, let's discuss a little bit the problem of the access to the data. And that seems to, and that's at least in my field, pretty complex problem. Because you know, when I was in the very beginning of working on it, we were thinking, well, we can just take the data sets and we say like, all right, these are we categorize them. We say like, okay, these are internal data, these are, I don't know, work council relevant data, GDPR data, and based on this information, we can drive the access process. But that's not possible, that's not true, because the context, the purpose of the data is in some cases important. Yeah? So the same data for one purpose, or it's okay to use, for other purpose, it's not okay to use, or it requires some further discussion. And that's why the way we approach things, we are always registering the use case. So wherever you want to have access to the data, first explain me why you need them. What's the use case? We have risk questionnaires trying to detect the people who might get us into troubles the way they want to do the things with the data. That's why the use case registration and a risk check on the use case registration level. Then depends of the data categorization and the use case outcome. We go through the approval workflows. Some are pre-approved, done, checked immediately. Some requires indeed the data, at least the data owner discussion. Okay, what you want to do with the particular data, and you know what's the purpose, and only then they are approved or not approved. And then the important piece that we do is the data usage contract. So we say, all right, then once we went through all the process, then we give you access to the data with kind of traceable contract. So you will get access to SAP, finance data, 6 months, a particular volume you can use per day, and the clock is ticking. And anytime it is auditable, because we can see, based on this use case and this approvals, this data sets, the people got accessed, and then they are using. So we are kind of transparent and fine. And then of course the usage is being monitored, and after a while the things get closed. Now there is one problem with this whole approach. Is the sheer amount of data, right? So it's nice to put it on the slide, but when you then stand in front of all this data, you think like, yeah, you have worked till you retire, and you will not be ready to get this all described and done and this, right? So you need to focus. And the focus comes with, at our side, a concept of data value categorization. So we say, all right, we cannot just make it for everything, right? It's not going to work. It is impossible. If you think how many were attempts of making, data lakes of the company and all kind of failed in the bigger companies, you just cannot do it, right? You need to focus. And the key is you look, okay, what the data are really the gold data, the most important data, and focus only for this approach to those, top of your data. And yeah, and this way you can kind of get through it, not in kind of years, but in some reasonable amount of time. That's why focus, data categorization, gold data focus. Yeah, let me now talk about the next element. Okay, so found the data, explored the data, got the final access to the data, and for some people it might be kind of like, okay, I take my Power BI desktop and I, crunch something, or I don't know, Excel or Tableau, or whatever tool. For some citizen analysis, that's kind of, now the end of the journey, and they just do the analytics themselves. Maybe even AutoML. Why not? There's options. For more sophisticated use cases, advanced analytics, complex BI reporting, you need, of course, some muscles and power, right, to crunch the data, get the insights. And yeah, and this is after years we working in the topic, is still a challenge. And at our side, the challenge is because of the diversity we have. So on one side, everybody would like to do things on cloud, but we have still a big gravity for the data that we keep on-prem, right, and just transferring everything left and right. For certain kind of data might not be really practical. We spread over continents and countries, so it's you won't get probably everything done with just one central gigantic system. And different business units have different needs. And that leads us to the problem of no one-fit-all problem. And the way we solve this from kind of data platform, the cruncher machine in some diverse way. So we have our beast. So this is our on-prem advanced analytics, machine learning monster that is for a specific advanced analytics use cases thought, and it's really like, it's a monster. You give him a data, he eats it, and it's done. So that's one component. We have several, like, kind of everybody BI platforms on-prem. And in the meantime, I would say the same amount of BI ML platforms on cloud. We use mostly Azure, also a little bit Google. So that's a little bit our picture. And yeah, a few words about the beast. I've been working on the beast for a few years, so I like talk about it a little bit. Yeah. So, but well, first maybe. The way we use the beast is really for advanced analytics use cases. So people are coming with their data, they have the big use case. I don't know, the people want to go through the invoices and they want to detect those that most probably not gonna be paid, so they can go and before it's already 3 months not paid, maybe already earlier start calling people, and kind of do something so that things not get so bad. So you have a use case, you have your data, and you just need a platform, to build your model, train it, put to the production, full cycle. And that's what this platform is about. I'll retain from going through the technical because I would probably need another 20 minutes. But yeah, it's classical on-prem, Hadoop-based, complex platform with raw power, physical machines, private network, muscles without end, and that's what brings us to the on-prem machine learning platform. But yeah, I wanted to spend a few last minutes actually about the thing that is, in a sense, the most important, but often talked not in depth enough. Because where it is relatively clear, right? We do analytics, so we need machinery, we need the data, and we need tools, but we need people. Yeah, and that's actually the biggest challenge when you already get something installed and done this and put the data and the governance and the catalog and this and that. Yeah, but what about the people? And this is the biggest challenge, how to really make the people starting really like, I like the categorization of the users we saw earlier today, really from top management, to kind of a clerk in the office. How to make all those guys somehow more be able to work with the data. And here, just a few thoughts. How what are the different aspects about the data culture? It's so maybe obvious, but knowing your data is probably one of the key challenges in the time we have so much data. So that's probably the first challenge. Together immediately with own your data. So for me, it is the thing like how to ensure when the people do transactions and generate the data, that they really understand that with every click, with every entering something on the screen, they may it's like this butterfly effect, right? They may change how the future of this company can be. Because you think from those data being propagated and machine learning go on it, and some analytics go on it, and go on and go on it, and then everybody want to do decision make on the data, and it might be that this one guy down there clicking not this, but clicking that, made an effect that the company makes a decision, right, good, we go left or we go left. How to make the people understand it, that the data are so valuable that this is really they are producing gold. So yeah, there is certainly not good answer about making people aware, literacy, showing that we are working with the data, making decisions with the data, making people aware that here is a big report, management report, and it goes all the down lineage down to the particular clicks of the particular people. So feeling this ownership, I'm not just clicking through the screen and I just want to go through the screen quick. When I go through the screen, I am kind of doing a voting of the future of this company. And yeah, using the data is another element, right? How to help people or enable people and say like, just don't do things from your guts, yeah? Make decision based off the data, and look, here where you can find the data, here how we can get access to the data, here are possibilities of consuming the data. You don't want to go through it. We have our central insight dashboard. You can see already prepared stuff. You can click through it. There are drill-in possibilities. And just don't do like this, right? Go and work with the data. So yeah, big program, big challenge. And from one side, this whole technological challenge that is, with enough time and money solvable. Then a little bit more difficult challenge, the processes, governance, making everybody work to the same rules, and then ending up with the biggest challenge, how to make the people use it and not just to be in the end a board, end up in the board presentation with some clicks, yeah, we've implemented this, implemented that, but in the end, has this changed something for this company? Well, a little, but it's not really, right? How to make it really being a movement and making a difference. Yeah, and with that, I say then thank you for careful listening and open for your questions.
Any raised hands? Just a gentleman at the back.
So thank you very much for the presentation. For me, it would be interesting to think about what's next for you, because you presented a really comprehensive, a great overview about what you did so far. But what would be the next challenges you are planning to solve?
Yeah, you know, with every initiative, it's always nice the beginning and the first dreams, right? And yeah, I think about Elon Musk that you know, saying like the hell of getting things into production. Yeah, so the dreams is easy, but really executing things is what makes the difference. That's why the next challenge is for us: walk our path. It is nothing that is done within. Well, you know, it's never-ending story, right? So the execution, enhancing, improving, feedback, and really living the data culture every day. So I think this is a never-ending challenge for us. So there is no end now. There is no next thing. We're not gonna take a new tool or this, right? We'll maybe adjust here, adjust there, but really going through the messes and making a change.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I had a small one, if it's okay. Just curious, on one of your earlier slides, you mentioned a risk questionnaire when you're talking about the sort of workflow. What's involved in a risk questionnaire?
Yeah, you are trying to detect in the use case if there are particular risks. I mean, the personal data processing is one risk, working council relevant. We have a post law in Germany that we need to take into account. There are trade laws. So we have a kind of 9 key questions to detect if there's any risk, and if then it gets a little bit more complicated because you need to go through expert, and if there's no risks, then you get your use case green, and then you can connect the data and trying to get access to your data.
Yeah, an important part of the process, no doubt. Okay, I think with that we're going to wrap up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thomas.